Despite its constant heavy metal imagery, Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne has an unshakable punkness to it. Even the remaster of this nearly 20-year-old game is still remarkably invigorating because of how ruthlessly uncompromising it is. It's vicious at times, throwing you into trap-filled labyrinths with enemies that can wipe you out in a single attack. Yet such deviousness isn't there simply for the sake of it. Finishing Nocturne pushes you to develop a true knowledge of how its nuances work, gaining a complete understanding that feels so rare. Nocturne shines a spotlight on how games can either be shallow or just aren't designed to help you really appreciate how all the pieces work together. It's a shame that the actual remastering work done in this version is merely serviceable, failing to go above and beyond, considering its asking price. Nocturne's story is relatively sparse, especially for a JRPG. While such a description sounds concerning in a genre stuffed with overwrought plots and beat-you-over-the-head exposition, the game's light touch is like finding water in a desert. Similar to other Shin Megami Tensei games, Nocturne has you dealing with the destruction of the world, right after witnessing it firsthand. In the midst of all this chaos, an unknown figure forces a slug-like Magatama into the protagonist, transforming him into the Demi-Fiend. From there, you assemble a small army of demons and guide the future of the ruined world. The further the player gets into Nocturne, the more they're exposed to different factions, all of which are developing new doctrines for how the world should be run. You have the freedom to embrace or reject these doctrines, and simply exploring them is interesting because of how thoroughly Nocturne embraces its nihilism.
I won't shed another tear, not even at this world's end.
Considering other JRPGs are absolutely plagued with hackneyed stories that use the power of friendship as a crutch, something even Atlus's own Persona series is guilty of, the narrative here speeds in the opposite direction. This isn't a plot that says everything is going to be fine if we try hard. Instead, it bluntly states that everything is misery, and asks how you are specifically going to deal with that. Such a direction could prove unbearably forced and edgy, but again, Nocturne offers a surprisingly light touch. The game presents its ideas without slamming them down your throat or ruining them with needless profanity or unwarranted shocking imagery. It also has a sense of humor, constantly sliding jokes and jabs into random dialogue. If you have yet to experience the stylings of Shin Megami Tensei, this is a perfect way to do so, and it'll likely make you wish the genre had a lot more courage overall. Something that encapsulates Nocturne's design as a whole is how it uses every opportunity available to test the player. In addition to your own abilities as the Demi-Fiend, you rely on the abilities of demons you acquire throughout the world. Just know that recruiting them is anything but simple. To forge an alliance with a demon, you typically have to convince them, and demons all come with their own personalities. You often have to give them money or items, sometimes even extremely valuable ones, just to have a chance of earning their favor. Even with everything you provide, they still might decide against joining the party. As a result, recruitment isn't an act of compulsion, but rather a careful evaluation and decision to make.
すぐに死んでしまうような恥ずかしい真似はしなかったようですね。
After gathering demons, you then have to decide on the best team for the particular situation. Every demon has a weakness, and if the enemy capitalizes on that weakness, it can be devastating. One of the most crucial components of Nocturne's turn-based system is that it rewards success and punishes failure in dramatic ways. Landing a critical hit or exploiting an enemy's weakness will reward you with extra actions in combat. Conversely, missing a hit or using an attack that the enemy is strong against will actually cause you to lose actions. Enemies follow the same rules, so battles become a tight balancing act. You have to shore up your party's defenses to limit enemy advantages while also targeting vulnerabilities, all within a very limited number of actions. Nocturne forces the player to use every tool they have available, placing a premium on almost everything. Buffs and debuffs, for instance, are just as valuable, if not more valuable, than high-damaging spells. They also stack on top of each other, so even the tiniest decision, like how many times to cast a spell, can change the course of a fight. The Demi-Fiend can ingest different Magatama, which can significantly alter his stats and more crucially, change the elements he is strong and weak against. Stroll into a boss fight with the wrong Magatama, and you may see defeat in the blink of an eye, since the Demi-Fiend's death is game over, even if other demons in your party survive. Beyond the necessary strategy that comes with Magatama, just getting your hands on them can be a struggle. Some Magatama are sold in shops at hilariously expensive prices, and money is very valuable in Nocturne. Not only can it be used for expected things like buying recovery items, but even using a healing station costs money.
御身のことは存じております。私の微力を尽くさせていただきましょう。
Compounding all of this are cruel dungeons, which are confusing mazes that may come with any assortment of traps, teleportation puzzles, or even a mischievous character that will straight up manipulate you. At the end of each of these deadly journeys lies a brutal boss, many of which feel different than ones you've encountered before, with unique mechanics to learn, and of course, even a small error may mean death. There's no autosave either, so wiping out at an inopportune time can mean losing chunks of progress. If this all sounds like torture, it can be, but what prevents it from becoming a slog is how purposeful it all feels. Nocturne rejects complacency in a way that is frankly refreshing. Instead of throwing a bunch of filler at you and then every once in a while coughing up a challenge, the game uses every available opportunity to test and therefore teach, making you feel exuberant in the moments of conquest. It should be noted that the remastered version of Nocturne allows you to download a new merciful difficulty for free, if anyone finds it too overwhelming. For as much as there is to praise with Nocturne's design, there are disappointing aspects. Sometimes the game is so stubborn with telling you where to go that you're either forced to wander aimlessly or consult a guide just to get pointed in the right direction. These moments don't offer an enjoyable hill to climb or really anything interesting, but rather the game is wasting time. The environments can also be horrendously drab, particularly in the dungeons. Expect to essentially see the same tiles copied and pasted into oblivion. The layout of these places may be clever, but there's rarely visual stimuli to make exploration satisfying, despite fantastic character designs from legendary artist Kazuma Kaneko. There's also the disappointingly meager, remastered nature of this release. Arguably the biggest change, besides the obvious visual enhancements, is the new voice acting available in both English and Japanese. Giving the characters voices is an excellent move, unquestionably adding gravitas to the big scenes. There's also an appreciated suspend feature, which allows you to save and exit the game in a pinch. The save file is deleted when you continue from it, but the feature is nonetheless useful, considering how far apart save points can be. Beyond this, though, there's little to praise. The audio sounds compressed, and it's especially noticeable during the frantic and otherwise fantastic battle themes. Even the visual upgrade is inconsistent, with some textures, like ones found in the overworld, amounting to little more than a blurry mess. All of this would be easier to swallow at a reasonable price, but at the time of the review, the game costs at minimum $50, with additional DLC available to purchase. Nocturne is a great game, but what Atlus is asking versus what they're offering is off balance. These issues make it difficult to evaluate the Nocturne remaster as a whole. Is this technically the best way to play an absolute gem of a game? Yes, but there's no doubt that more could have been done here. Still, the more you play Nocturne, the more these issues fade into the background. Ultimately, this is an audacious experience, one that feels unique despite its age, and it deserves to be tried by anyone that seriously enjoys RPGs.
どうやら寿司だの芸者だのって雰囲気じゃなさそうだな。
Final score, 8 out of 10. Easy Allies reviews are made possible by generous viewers just like you. If you like what you see, check out patreon.com/easyallies to help us make more. For just $1 a month, you can gain access to weekly updates, spoiler discussions, and exclusive shows.